The planet looked dead from space. Kepler 442b hung in the darkness like a brown marble, its surface covered in dust storms that never seemed to end. Dr. Emily Watson pressed her face against the small window of the research ship horizon and watched the swirling clouds below. She had been studying alien life for 10 years, but this dead world was not what she had hoped to find. "Looks like another waste of time," said Captain James Miller as he walked into the observation deck. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. "We should move on to the next system?" Emily shook her head. "The readings show something down there. Maybe not life as we know it, but something is moving." "Rocks don't move, Dr. Watson." "These readings are not rocks, Captain," Miller sighed. He had worked with scientists before, and they were all the same. They saw mysteries where normal people saw empty space. "Fine, we will send down a survey team, but only for 6 hours. Then we leave." Emily smiled. 6 hours would be enough. 2 hours later, Emily walked across the dusty surface of Kepler 442b. The wind howled around her, making her environmental suit rattle. Behind her, 3 other crew members carried equipment and weapons. They did not want to be here, and they made sure Emily knew it. "This place gives me the creeps," said Security Officer Tom Anderson. He was a big man who always carried too many guns. "Nothing should be alive in this hell." "That is why we are here," Emily sighed, "to find out what should not be alive." They walked for an hour before Emily's scanner started beeping faster. Something large was moving ahead of them, hidden behind a wall of red rocks. Emily moved faster, ignoring the complaints from the others. She found him lying in a crater, barely breathing. The creature was huge, at least 8 feet tall even lying down. His body was covered in dark plates that looked like armor. 4 arms hung at his sides, each ending in what looked like claws. His head was large and angular, with 2 eyes that glowed a soft amber color, even though they were mostly closed. "Holy hell," whispered Tom Anderson, raising his rifle. "What is that thing?" Emily knelt beside the creature, checking her readings. "He is alive, badly hurt, but alive." "It looks like a monster," said Lisa Shun, the communications officer. She was Emily's closest friend on the ship, but even she looked scared. "We should leave it here." "Look at these wounds," Emily said, pointing to deep cuts across the creature's chest. "Someone did this to him." This was not an accident. The creature's eyes opened slightly, and he looked at Emily. She saw intelligence there, and pain, and something that looked like hope. When he tried to speak, only a wet, clicking sound came out. "We need to help him," Emily said. "Are you crazy?" Tom Anderson kept his gun pointed at the creature. "That thing could tear us apart." "He is dying. Look at him." Captain Miller's voice crackled through their radios. "Survey team, report. What did you find?" Emily looked at the dying creature, then at her team. She knew what they wanted her to say. They wanted her to report nothing and leave this place, but she could not do that. "We found a survivor, Captain. Alien but sentient. He needs medical attention immediately." There was a long pause. "Explain survivor, Doctor. Someone attacked his people. He is the only one left alive that we can find. I am requesting permission to bring him aboard for medical treatment." "Absolutely not." Miller's voice was sharp. "We do not bring unknown aliens onto this ship. Leave it there." Emily looked into the creature's amber eyes again. He was watching her, understanding somehow that his life depended on what she said next. "Captain, I am making this a formal scientific request. This could be our first contact with a new intelligent species. The potential for learning is enormous. The potential for getting everyone killed is also enormous. The answer is no." Emily made her decision. "Tom, help me get him to the shuttle." "What?" Tom Anderson stared at her. "Did you not hear the captain?" "I heard him. I am choosing to ignore him." Emily activated the emergency medical beacon on her suit. "This is a xenobiology emergency. I am invoking Section 12 of the Research Charter." Lisa Chun grabbed Emily's arm. "Emily, what are you doing? You could lose your career over this." "Some things are more important than careers." It took all 4 of them to move the creature to their shuttle. He was unconscious by then, but his breathing was getting weaker. Emily worked frantically during the flight back to the horizon, using basic medical supplies to stop the worst bleeding. When they docked with the main ship, Captain Miller was waiting with 6 security officers. "Dr. Watson, you are confined to quarters until we reach Earth. The alien goes into the cargo bay." "He will die in the cargo bay. He needs the medical facility." "It is not a he, doctor. It is an unknown alien that could be carrying diseases or parasites that could kill us all." Emily stood between Miller and the creature. "My scans show no dangerous organisms. He is hurt and scared and alone, just like we would be if we crashed on an alien world." "Move aside, doctor. That is an order." "No." The two of them stared at each other for a long moment. Finally, Miller nodded to his security team. "Take the alien to Medical Bay 3. Put it in isolation. Dr. Watson, you will examine it there, under guard. But I want answers, and I want them fast." 3 days later, Emily sat beside the creature's bed in the isolated medical bay. She had managed to save his life, but just barely. The crew thought she was losing her mind. They whispered about her in the hallways and avoided her in the mess hall. The creature had been awake for a day now, watching her with those intelligent amber eyes. Emily had tried every form of communication she could think of: math, pictures, sounds, gestures. Nothing seemed to work. Then she tried something simple. She pointed to herself and said, "Emily." The creature's eyes widened. He lifted one of his forearms, the movement slow and careful so as not to frighten her. He pointed at her and made a sound that was almost like "Mli." Emily smiled, the first real smile she had felt in days. "Yes, Emily." Then he pointed to himself and made a complex clicking sound that hurt her ears. "I cannot say that," Emily said. "Can I call you Marcus?" The creature tilted his head, considering. Then he pointed to himself and tried to say Marcus. It came out as Marcus, but it was close enough. Emily felt tears in her eyes. "Hello, Marcus. I am very glad to meet you." For the first time since she had found him, Marcus did something that looked like a smile. Outside the medical bay, Tom Anderson shook his head as he watched through the security camera. "She has lost it completely. Talking to that monster like it is a person." But Emily did not care what anyone thought. She had found something wonderful on that dead planet. She had found a person who just happened to look like everyone's worst nightmare. And she was going to prove to the rest of the crew that appearances meant nothing when it came to the important things, like intelligence, like courage, like the capacity for friendship. Marcus was not a monster. He was just different. And Emily Watson had never been afraid of different. 3 months had passed since Emily found Marcus on that dead planet. The horizon was still traveling back to Earth, and every day brought new challenges. The crew grew more hostile toward Emily, and she spent most of her time alone with Marcus. In the medical bay, but those 3 months had changed everything. Emily sat across from Marcus at a small table she had brought into the medical bay. Between them lay dozens of drawings and symbols. Marcus held a tablet computer in 2 of his 4 hands while using his other hands to draw on paper. His movements were careful and precise. "Tree," Emily said, pointing to a drawing Marcus had made. It showed something that looked like a plant, but with strange spiral branches. Marcus nodded and made a sound that Emily had learned meant yes in his language. Then he pointed to himself and made the clicking sound that was his real name. Emily had been working for weeks to understand what Marcus was trying to tell her about himself. Finally, she thought she had it figured out. "You grew these," she said, pointing to the tree drawing. "You were a farmer." Marcus became very excited. He drew quickly, showing Emily pictures of vast fields covered with the spiral trees. Then he drew small figures with 4 arms working among the plants. The figures looked like Marcus, but smaller and moving in groups. "Your people," Emily said. "Your family." Marcus stopped drawing. His amber eyes became sad, and he made a low sound that Emily recognized as grief. He drew more pictures, but these were different. They showed the same fields, but now they were burning. The small figures were running or lying still on the ground. Emily felt her heart break as she understood. "Someone attacked your home, Marcus." nodded, then he drew new figures. These were different from his people. They walked on two legs like humans, but they carried weapons and wore armor. They had destroyed everything Marcus loved. Who were they? Emily asked. Marcus struggled to draw something that would help her understand. Finally, he drew a symbol that looked like a clenched fist surrounded by stars. He pointed to it and made a sound that was full of anger and fear Emily had never heard that sound from Marcus before. It made her realize that, under his gentle nature, there was something that could be very dangerous if it needed to be. Over the following days, Marcus taught Emily more about his people. The Thracari, as he called them, were farmers and builders. They lived in harmony with their planet's ecosystem, growing food that could survive in harsh conditions. Marcus showed Emily that his claws were not weapons at all, but specialized tools for working with plants. Emily learned that Marcus's frightening appearance had evolved to scare away the predators on his homeworld. His people looked like monsters, but they were actually peaceful plant growers who had never fought a war until the day the destroyers came. "We call them the Dominion," Emily said one day, reading from reports she had found in the ship's database. "They have been expanding across this part of the galaxy for 50 years. They destroy anyone who will not serve them." Marcus made the angry sound again when Emily showed him images of Dominion ships, but then he did something that surprised her. He took her hand in one of his 4 hands and held it gently. Emily felt her heart skip. The touch was warm and careful, nothing like what she would expect from a creature that looked so dangerous. She looked into Marcus's amber eyes and saw something there that made her breath catch. He cared about her. Not just as the person who had saved his life, but as someone important to him. Emily realized that she cared about him too. Over the past 3 months, she had spent more time with Marcus than with any of the human crew. She knew his moods, his expressions, the way he moved when he was happy or sad or thinking hard about something. She had taught him to understand human emotions, and he had taught her to see past appearances to the person underneath. "Emily," Marcus said, struggling with the human word. "Friend." "Yes," Emily whispered, "friend." But even as she said it, Emily knew it was becoming something more than friendship. She was falling in love with an alien that everyone else saw as a monster. The crew noticed the change in their relationship. Emily heard them talking in the hallways when they thought she could. "Not here. She spends all day with that thing," said Tom Anderson. "It is not natural." "I am worried about her," said Dr. Robert Hayes, the chief medical officer. "She is getting too attached. When we get to Earth, they will take the alien away for study. She needs to be prepared for that." "Maybe the alien is controlling her mind," suggested another crew member. "Maybe it has some kind of power over her." Lisa Chen defended Emily when she could, but even Emily's best friend was worried. "I have known Emily for 5 years," Lisa told Dr. Hayes. "She has always been focused on her work, but this is different. She looks at that creature like it is human." Captain Miller called Emily to his office on a Tuesday morning. She had been expecting this conversation for weeks. "Dr. Watson, sit down," Miller said. His office was small and cramped, filled with reports and star charts. "We need to talk about your relationship with the alien." "His name is Marcus," Emily said. "It is a specimen, doctor. An unknown life form that we are bringing back to Earth for study. It is not a pet." Emily felt anger rising in her chest. "He is a person, Captain. An intelligent being with thoughts and feelings and a culture that we are only beginning to understand. It is an alien that could be dangerous. My security reports say that you have been sharing meals with it and spending up to 12 hours a day in its presence. This is not professional behavior. I am learning his language and teaching him ours. I am documenting his culture and understanding his people's history. This is exactly what a xenobiologist should be doing." Miller leaned forward. "What you are doing looks like emotional attachment, doctor, and that makes you unreliable." Emily stood up. "Unreliable? I have learned more about an alien species in 3 months than most scientists learn in their entire careers. Marcus has shown me agricultural techniques that could revolutionize farming on our colony worlds. His people's knowledge could help us survive in hostile environments. His people are dead, Dr. Watson, killed by the same enemy that is expanding toward human space. We need to study this creature to understand what we might be facing, not make friends with it. Emily stared at Miller. You want to dissect him? I want to understand what we are dealing with. When we reach Earth, the alien will be transferred to a proper research facility where trained professionals can study it safely over my dead body. Miller's expression hardened. That can be arranged, Doctor. I'm placing you under formal review for violation of contact protocols. Until we reach Earth, your access to the alien will be limited to 4 hours per day, under armed guard. Emily left Miller's office feeling like the walls of the ship were closing in around her. She found Marcus in the medical bay, working on a drawing of his homeworld before the attack. When he saw her face, he made a questioning sound. They want to take you away from me, Emily said. Sitting down beside him, Marcus did not understand all the words, but he understood her tone. He reached out and took her hand again, holding it between two of his forehands. Emily sad, he said in his careful English. Yes, Emily, very sad. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he drew a simple picture of the two of them standing together. Above their heads he drew stars. Together, he said. Always together. Emily felt tears in her eyes. She looked at this gentle creature who everyone else saw as a monster, and she knew that she would do anything to protect him, even if it meant standing against her own species. That night, Emily lay in her small bunk and stared at the ceiling. She thought about Marcus alone in the medical bay, probably drawing pictures of his lost family. She thought about what would happen when they reached Earth and the military took him away. She made a decision that would change both of their lives. Forever, she was going to find a way to save him, no matter what it cost her. The Earth looked blue and beautiful through the windows of the horizon, but Emily felt no joy at seeing her home planet. She knew that everything would change once they landed. In 6 hours, they would dock at Luna Station, and then Marcus would be taken away from her. Emily had spent the last 2 weeks fighting with Captain Miller about Marcus's future. Miller had reduced her time with Marcus to just 2 hours per day, always with armed guards watching. But even those short visits had been enough for Emily to learn something terrible. Marcus was not the only survivor of the Dominion attacks. Emily, Marcus said, using the computer tablet to show her a star map. His English had improved greatly over the past months. My people some live here. The map showed dozens of systems where Marcus believed other Thrakari might have escaped, but it also showed something else. Red markers that Marcus had placed to show where the Dominion was moving next. They come to human space, Marcus said, his voice full of worry. Soon, Emily stared at the map. If Marcus was right, the Dominion fleet would reach the outer human colonies within months. She had tried to tell Captain Miller, but he refused to listen. The alien could be lying, Miller had said. It could be feeding us false information to make itself seem valuable. Now Emily sat in her quarters, packing her few belongings. Tomorrow she would face a military tribunal for violating first contact protocols. Her career was over. Worse, Marcus would disappear into some secret government facility where she would never see him again. A soft knock on her door interrupted her thoughts. Come in, she called. Lisa Chun entered, looking uncomfortable. Emily's former best friend had barely spoken to her in weeks. Emily, I wanted to say goodbye before we dock, Lisa said, and I wanted to apologize. For what? For not supporting you. For thinking you had lost your mind. Lisa sat down on Emily's small chair. I have been watching the security feeds from the medical bay. I have seen how gentle that creature is with you. How intelligent he seems. Emily felt a spark of hope. You believe me now? I think I was wrong about him. About you too. Lisa hesitated. Emily, are you in love with him? Emily had been avoiding this question for months, even in her own thoughts. But now, with everything about to end, she could not lie anymore. Yes, she whispered. I know how crazy that sounds, but yes. I love him. Lisa was quiet for a long moment. What are you going to do? I do not know. They will not let me see him once we reach Earth. He will become a lab specimen, and I will probably go to prison. Maybe not prison, Dr. Foster spoke up. For you at the hearing. He said your research with the alien has been valuable. Emily laughed bitterly. Dr. William Foster had been her mentor at the Institute for Xenobiological Studies. Once she had respected him more than anyone. Now she knew he saw Marcus as nothing more than an interesting specimen. Foster wants to study Marcus, not protect him, Emily said. To him, Marcus is just another alien to dissect and catalog. Emily, you have to be realistic. Even if your feelings are real, what kind of future could you have with an alien? Society would never accept it. Emily looked out her small window at the approaching Earth. I do not care what society thinks. I care about Marcus. He is alone in the universe now. His entire family is dead. His world is destroyed. All he has left is me. Lisa stood up to leave. I hope you find a way to be happy, Emily. I really do. After Lisa left, Emily tried to sleep, but she could not stop thinking about Marcus alone in the medical bay. She wondered if he understood what was going to happen tomorrow. She wondered if he was as frightened as she was. At midnight, she made a decision. That surprised even her. She was going to see Marcus one more time, guards or no guards. Emily crept through the dark corridors of the ship. She knew the security patrol schedules by heart after months of restricted visits. The guards would not check the medical bay again. For another hour, she found Marcus sitting by the small window. Looking out at Earth, when he saw her, his amber eyes brightened. Emily, he said softly, you come. I had to see you, Emily said, sitting beside him. Tomorrow they will take you away from me, Marcus nodded sadly. He understood more about human politics than Emily had realized. They fear me. I understand. I do not fear you. I never have. Marcus turned to look at her. In the dim light of the medical bay, his frightening appearance seemed almost gentle. Emily loved Marcus? The question was so direct, so innocent, that Emily felt tears in her eyes. Yes, I love you, Marcus. Marcus loved Emily too, much love. They sat together in the darkness, holding hands and watching Earth grow larger outside the window. Emily tried to memorize everything about this moment. The warmth of Marcus's touch. The sound of his breathing. The way he looked at her like she was the most precious thing in the universe. I will find a way to see you again, Emily promised. No matter what they do to me, I will find you. Emily, good person. Marcus, lucky to find Emily. I am the lucky one, Emily said. They were interrupted by the sound of footsteps in the corridor. Emily quickly kissed Marcus on what passed for his forehead among his people, then slipped out through a service corridor before the guards could find her. The next morning, Luna Station was chaos. News reporters had somehow learned about Marcus, and they crowded around the dock trying to get pictures of the alien monster that a mad scientist had brought to Earth. Emily watched from her quarters as security officers loaded Marcus into a transport pod. He looked so small and frightened surrounded by all those armed guards. Just before the pod closed, Marcus looked up at her window. Even from that distance, she could see the sadness in his amber eyes. Admiral Patricia Stone arrived to take custody of Marcus personally. Stone was a hard woman with gray hair and cold eyes who had fought in 3 alien wars. She looked at Marcus like he was a weapon that might explode at any moment. Dr. Watson, Stone said when Emily was brought before her, you have caused quite a mess. I saved the life of an intelligent being, Admiral. I would do it again. That intelligent being could be a spy, or a biological weapon, or worse. Emily wanted to scream that Marcus was none of those things, but she knew it would not matter. The military had made up their minds. Your alien will be taken to a secure facility for study, Stone continued. You will be court-martialed for violating first contact protocols. However, your research notes may prove valuable, so you will not face prison time if you cooperate. What kind of cooperation? Help us understand the alien's language and culture. Share everything you have learned about his species and their enemies. Emily realized this was her chance. If she cooperated, she might be able to stay close to Marcus. She might be able to protect him from the worst of what the military wanted to do. I want guaranteed access to Marcus. Daily visits, minimum 4 hours. Stone smiled coldly. You are in no position to make demands, Doctor. Then you get nothing from me. Good luck learning his language without my help. They stared at each other. For a long moment, finally Stone nodded. 2 hours per day. Under guard? And if you try anything stupid, you will never see the alien again? Emily agreed, knowing it was the best deal she could get. 3 days later, Emily sat in a sterile white room in an underground facility somewhere in Colorado. Marcus was on the other side of a transparent barrier, surrounded by monitoring equipment and cameras. He looked tired and confused. Emily, he said when he saw her. Pressing one of his hands against the barrier, Emily put her hand on the other side of the barrier, matching his gesture. I am here, Marcus. I promised I would find you. But even as she said it, Emily knew that this was not enough. Marcus was not free. He was a prisoner, and she was his only connection to anything that resembled kindness outside the facility. The world was changing. News reports spoke of strange ships detected at the edge of the solar system. Ships that matched the description Marcus had given of Dominion vessels. The storm was coming, just as Marcus had warned. And when it arrived, Emily hoped that humanity would finally understand that the creature they saw as a monster might be their only hope for survival. The alarm started screaming at 3 in the morning. Emily woke up in her small apartment near the research facility and saw red lights flashing outside her window. Her phone buzzed with an emergency message from Admiral Stone. Report to the facility immediately. Priority Alpha. Emily dressed quickly and drove through empty streets toward the underground base. She had been working with Marcus for 2 months now, helping the military understand his language and culture. Progress had been slow because the generals refused to believe that Marcus was telling the truth about the Dominion. That had changed overnight. When Emily arrived at the facility, she found chaos. Scientists and military officers ran through the hallways carrying reports and shouting orders. Admiral Stone met her at the security checkpoint. Dr. Watson, we have a problem, Stone said. Her cold expression looked even more serious than usual. The alien fleet has arrived? Emily felt her heart sink. How many ships? Over 2,000. They appeared at the edge of the solar system 6 hours ago. They are demanding our surrender? Stone led Emily through corridors she had never seen before, deeper into the facility. They passed rooms full of computers and screens showing star maps. Emily saw the Dominion fleet on the displays, a massive wall of ships moving toward Earth. Where is Marcus? Emily asked. Being prepared for interrogation. We need to know everything he knows about these ships and their weapons. They reached a large room where Marcus sat at a table surrounded by military officers. He looked tired and scared, but when he saw Emily, his amber eyes brightened. Emily, he said, relief clear in his voice. Marcus, are you hurt? Emily rushed to his side, ignoring the protests from the officers. I am well, but, Emily, the Dominion comes, as I warned. General David Brooks stepped forward. He was an older man with scars on his face from battles Emily could only imagine. Dr. Watson, we need your help. The alien says he knows how to fight these ships. Emily looked at Marcus. Is that true? Marcus nodded. My people fought Dominion before we died. We learned their weaknesses. They think they are strongest, but they have fear. What kind of fear? General Brooks asked. Marcus struggled to find the right words in English. They fear ... unity. They fear when different peoples work together. They defeat us one by one, but together we are stronger. Emily translated Marcus's more complex ideas for the room. He says the Dominion conquers species individually. They have never faced a united alliance of different races. But we are just humans, said Secretary of Defense Margaret Thompson. She was a tall woman who clearly did not trust Marcus. How does that help us? Marcus pointed to Emily, then to himself. Human and Thrakari together, others too. Survivors hide in many places, together we fight. Emily understood immediately. He can contact other survivors, other species that escape Dominion attacks. If we coordinate our defense with theirs, We could have allies, General Brooks finished. How many species are we talking about? Marcus worked with Emily to use the computer systems. He showed them star maps with dozens of systems where survivors were hiding. Aquatic species in the water worlds near Vega, silicon-based life forms in the asteroid belts of distant stars, flying creatures that lived in the gas clouds between systems. All of them have been attacked by the Dominion, Emily explained. All of them want revenge. Secretary Thompson shook her head. This is insane. We cannot trust alien species we have never met. We cannot defeat 2,000 ships alone, General Brooks argued. If the alien is right, we need all the help we can get. The debate was interrupted by an aide who burst into the room. General, we have received a transmission from the Dominion fleet. They moved to the main command center, where a large screen showed the face of a human man. Emily gasped when she recognized him from intelligence reports. Warlord Arcturus Kane, Admiral Stone said grimly. Kane had once been a human admiral, but he had joined the Dominion 20 years ago. Now he served as their voice when dealing with human worlds. People of Earth, Kane said, his voice smooth and confident. I am speaking on behalf of the Dominion Empire. You have 72 hours to surrender unconditionally. If you refuse, your world will be destroyed and your people enslaved. Kane paused, and his expression became cruel. We know you have captured one of the alien survivors. We want that creature returned to us immediately. It has information that belongs to the Dominion. Emily felt Marcus tense beside her. They want you, she whispered. I will not go, Marcus said firmly. I help Emily's people. Kane continued his message. Humans have always impressed us with your ability to survive, but survival requires making smart choices. Surrender now, and many of you will live. Fight us, and you will all die. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in silence. Secretary Thompson turned to Admiral Stone. We need to consider Kane's offer. If we surrender the alien, maybe we can negotiate better terms for humanity. Emily stepped forward. You cannot give Marcus to them. They will torture him for information and then kill him. One alien life against the entire human race, Thompson said. The choice is obvious. No, said General Brooks. Kane is lying. The Dominion does not negotiate. They conquer or they destroy. We have seen what they did to 50 other worlds. Marcus spoke up, his voice stronger than Emily had ever heard it. I stay. I fight with Emily's people. Together we strong. Admiral Stone looked at Marcus for a long moment. What exactly are you proposing, alien? I contact my allies. They bring ships. We coordinate attack. Dominion expects you to fight alone, but we fight together. Emily helped Marcus explain his plan. Using Thrakari quantum communication technology, he could reach the hidden survivors throughout the galaxy. Each species had ships and weapons that the Dominion had never encountered in combination. The aquatic species have ships that can move through space like water, Emily translated. The silicon beings have weapons that can disrupt metal hulls. The gas cloud dwellers can hide entire fleets until the moment of attack. General Brooks nodded slowly. A coordinated strike from multiple species, each using different tactics. The Dominion would not know how to respond. This is madness, Secretary Thompson protested. We are betting the entire human race on the word of one alien. Emily looked at Marcus, seeing the determination in his amber eyes. Not just one alien, a friend. Someone who has been trying to warn us and help us for months. Admiral Stone made the decision. We implement the alien's plan. General Brooks, prepare our defenses. Dr. Watson, help the alien contact his allies. We have 72 hours to organize the largest military alliance in galactic history. Emily felt a mixture of fear and hope. Marcus's plan was their only chance, but it required trusting alien species they had never met. It required believing that different forms of life could work together against a common enemy. Marcus took Emily's hand in one of his 4 hands. Together we win, he said simply. Emily squeezed his hand. Together we win. Outside the facility, the Dominion fleet moved closer to Earth. But for the first time since the crisis began, humanity was not facing the threat alone. Messages were already traveling through quantum space to dozens of hidden worlds, carrying a simple message: the time for hiding was over. The time for unity had begun. And at the center of it all was the love between a human woman and an alien man that everyone had once called a monster. The Battle of Mars began at dawn on the third day. Emily watched from the command center as human ships moved into position around the red planet. On the screens, she could see the massive Dominion fleet approaching like a dark storm cloud. Marcus sat beside her, his four hands working on 3 different computer terminals at once. For the past 48 hours, he had been coordinating with alien allies across the galaxy. The response had been better than anyone hoped. Aquatic fleet. Reports ready, Marcus said, reading from one screen. Silicon ships in position. Gas cloud hunters waiting. General Brooks stood at the center of the command room, watching the tactical displays. How many Allied ships do we have total? Emily helped Marcus calculate. About 800 ships, from 12 different species. Still outnumbered 2 to 1, but better than fighting alone. Admiral Stone looked skeptical. These alien species have never worked together before. How do we know they will not shoot each other instead of the enemy? Marcus made a sound that Emily had learned was Thrakari laughter. All hate Dominion more than each other. Enemy of enemy is friend? The first shots came from the Dominion fleet. Massive energy beams lanced out toward the human ships defending Mars. Emily watched in horror as 2 human destroyers exploded in balls of fire. All Allied fleets, attack pattern Alpha, General Brooks ordered. What happened next was unlike any battle in recorded history. The aquatic species ships moved through space, like schools of fish weaving between Dominion fire with impossible grace. Their weapons sent waves of energy that disrupted the enemy's targeting systems. The silicon-based ships looked like living rocks. They absorbed the Dominion's energy weapons and fired back with beams that could slice through the strongest armor. From the gas clouds came ships that seemed to be made of light itself. They appeared behind Dominion vessels, struck with devastating force, then vanished before return fire could reach them. And in the center of it all, human ships fought with desperate courage, using Marcus's knowledge of Dominion tactics to coordinate the entire alliance. It is working, Emily breathed, watching the tactical display. The Dominion fleet is breaking formation. But their celebration was cut short when Admiral Stone received a priority message. The Dominion flagship is moving toward Earth, the communications officer reported. They are ignoring the battle and heading straight for our homeworld. Marcus's amber eyes went wide. Kane goes to Earth. He wants to destroy human world before Alliance wins. General Brooks cursed. How long until they reach Earth? 6 hours. Sir, Emily felt her heart racing. If the Dominion flagship reached Earth, it could destroy entire cities before the Allied fleet could stop it. Marcus stood up suddenly. I go to flagship, stop Kane. That is suicide, Admiral Stone said. Their flagship has shields that our weapons cannot penetrate. I know Dominion ships, Marcus insisted. I can disable shields from inside, Emily grabbed Marcus's arm. You cannot go alone. Their security will kill you before you get close to the shields. Marcus looked at her with those gentle amber eyes. Emily, not go. Too dangerous. We go together or we do not go at all, Emily said firmly. That is not negotiable. General Brooks stepped forward. What exactly are you proposing? Emily and Marcus worked quickly to explain their plan. Using a captured Dominion shuttle, they would approach the flagship pretending to be prisoners being transferred. Once inside, Marcus could use his knowledge of Dominion technology to disable the shields while Emily provided human tactical support. The plan has a 10% chance of success, Admiral Stone calculated. Better than 0%, Emily said. And if we do nothing, Earth dies. General Brooks nodded grimly. Do it. 2 hours later, Emily sat in the pilot seat of a Dominion shuttle, her hands shaking on the controls. Marcus was in the back, playing the role of a prisoner. They had practiced the deception dozens of times, but Emily still felt terrified. Dominion flagship, this is Transport 7 requesting permission to dock, Emily said in her best military voice. Transport 7, you are not scheduled, came the reply. Priority transfer of alien prisoner. Direct orders from Warlord Kane. There was a pause. Then, permission granted. Bay 12, Emily looked back at Marcus. Ready? Ready, Marcus said. But Emily could see the fear in his amber eyes. They both knew they probably would not survive this mission. The flagship was enormous inside, with corridors that seemed to stretch forever. Emily and Marcus moved through the ship with Marcus pretending to be her prisoner. Dominion soldiers paid little attention to them, assuming they were just another prisoner transfer. They reached the shield control room without incident. Marcus quickly went to work on the alien technology while Emily stood guard at the door. How long do you need? Emily whispered. 5 minutes, Marcus replied, his 4 hands moving across the control panels with practiced skill. 3 minutes later, Emily heard footsteps in the corridor. Someone is coming. Marcus worked faster, sweat beading on his armored forehead. Almost finished, the footsteps stopped outside the door. Emily heard voices speaking in the Dominion language. They know we are here, Emily said. Marcus hit one final button, and all the lights in the room went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. Shields down, Marcus said with satisfaction. The door burst open and Dominion soldiers poured in. Emily and Marcus fought side by side, Marcus using his 4 arms to devastating effect while Emily provided cover with a stolen weapon. But there were too many soldiers. They were quickly overwhelmed and dragged to the flagship's bridge. Warlord Kane stood waiting for them. He was a tall, cruel-looking man who had once been human but now served the Dominion Empire. Dr. Emily Watson, Kane said with a cold smile. The mad scientist who fell in love with a monster. His name is Marcus, Emily said defiantly. And he is worth 100 of you, Kane laughed. You really believe that, do not you? You actually love this alien creature. Yes, I do. Kane's expression turned serious. That love will be the death of your entire species. The Dominion has been studying human psychology. We believe that your ability to form emotional bonds with other species makes you dangerous. Marcus spoke up, his voice filled with anger. Dominion fears love because they do not understand it. We understand it perfectly, Kane replied. Love makes you weak. It makes you do stupid things like this suicide mission. Kane gestured to the view screen, which showed Earth growing larger ahead of them. In 1 hour, we will begin destroying your cities. Your precious love will not save you then. But Emily smiled. You are wrong, Kane. Our love already saved us. Kane looked confused. What do you mean? The shields, Emily said. Marcus disabled them 5 minutes ago. Kane spun around to check his instruments, and his face went white. The flagship's shields were completely down. Outside the ship, the Allied fleet had caught up. Ships from a dozen species surrounded the helpless flagship. Their weapons charged and ready. General Brooks's voice came over the communications system. Dominion flagship, this is the Earth Alliance. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. Kane stared at Emily and Marcus in shock. You knew this was a suicide mission. Why did you come? Emily took Marcus's hand in hers. Because some things are worth dying for. Marcus squeezed her hand gently. Love's stronger than fear, he said simply. Kane raised his weapon, intending to kill them both out of spite. But before he could fire, his own officers stunned him. The Dominion crew had decided to surrender rather than die for their mad warlord. Emily and Marcus stood together on the bridge, watching as the Dominion fleet surrendered one ship at a time. The alliance of different species had won, and it all started with the love between a human woman and an alien man. The beast had been unleashed, but it was not Marcus. It was the power of love and unity that no empire could conquer. 6 months after the Battle of Mars, Emily Watson stood in her new office on Luna Station, looking out at the stars. She wore the uniform of an admiral in the Earth Alliance Navy, though she still felt strange about the military rank. Outside, her window, She could see ships from dozens of species docked at the station. The Galactic Liberation War had changed everything. Marcus entered the office, carrying a cup of tea in two of his hands and a data tablet in the other two. His amber eyes were bright with excitement. "Emily, the reports from the Vega system are excellent," he said, setting the tea on her desk. "The aquatic people have agreed to share their water purification technology with human colonies." Emily smiled and took his hand. After 6 months as his partner in building the new alliance, she still felt a thrill every time he touched her. "Any word from the Silicon Worlds?" she asked. "They want to trade mining rights for medical technology. The good news is that 3 more Thrakari colonies have been found alive." Emily felt tears of joy in her eyes. When they first met, Marcus thought he was the last of his people. Now they had found over 200 survivors scattered across different worlds. "That is wonderful news," Emily said. Marcus sat down across from her desk, but his expression became serious. "Emily, there is something else. The Council of Species wants to make our partnership official." "What do you mean?" "They want US to be the official ambassadors between humans and the other alliance species. It would mean traveling to different worlds, establishing new treaties, helping other species learn to work together." Emily considered this. The past 6 months had been the happiest of her life, working with Marcus to build bridges between species that had never trusted each other before. But it would also mean leaving Earth behind, possibly forever. "What do you think?" she asked. Marcus smiled, the expression still strange on his frightening features but beautiful to Emily. "I think we are good at bringing people together. Look what we did." Emily looked out the window again at the mixed fleet of human and alien ships. When she first found Marcus on that dead planet, she never imagined that their friendship would grow into something that could unite dozens of worlds. "There's one thing I want to do first," Emily said. Marcus tilted his head curiously. "What?" "I want to marry you." Marcus's amber eyes went wide. "Emily, sure? Humans marry aliens now?" Emily laughed. "Humans marry whoever they love." "And I love you, Marcus. I want everyone in the galaxy to know it." The wedding took place 3 weeks later on Earth, in the same facility where Marcus had once been held prisoner. But now the sterile white rooms had been transformed into a garden filled with plants from dozens of worlds. The ceremony combined human and Thrakari traditions. Emily wore a simple white dress, while Marcus wore ceremonial robes covered in symbols representing growth and new life. Representatives from over 50 species attended, making it the largest interspecies gathering in galactic history. Dr. William Foster, Emily's former mentor, gave a speech apologizing for doubting her. "Dr. Watson saw what the rest of us were too blind to see," he said. "That love and understanding can overcome any barrier." Admiral Stone, who had once threatened to lock Marcus away forever, now served as Emily's witness. "I have learned that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is trust someone who looks nothing like you," she said, but the most important moment came when Emily and Marcus exchanged vows. "Marcus," Emily said, looking into his amber eyes, "you showed me that the universe is full of wonders I never imagined. You taught me that love has no limits and no boundaries. I promise to stand beside you, to learn from you, and to build a better galaxy with you." Marcus struggled with the emotional human words, but his meaning was clear. "Emily, you saved my life when I was broken and alone. You showed me that kindness is stronger than fear, and love is stronger than hate. I promise to protect you, to cherish you, and to help your people reach the stars." When they kissed, the crowd erupted in cheers that could be heard in dozens of different languages. The celebration continued for 3 days, with each species sharing their own traditions and foods. Emily watched Marcus teaching human children how to grow the spiral trees of his homeworld, while Thrakari survivors shared stories with Earth botanists. General Brooks found Emily during the reception. "Admiral Watson, I have to admit I was wrong about your alien friend." "His name is Marcus," Emily said, as she always did, "and he is my husband now." Brooks smiled. "Your husband has single-handedly revolutionized our understanding of interspecies cooperation. Half the military academies in human space are studying his tactics. Emily looked across the room at Marcus, who was deep in conversation with a group of silicon-based life forms about mining techniques. He just wants everyone to get along. It is not complicated. Maybe that is why it works, Brooks said 3 months later. Emily and Marcus stood on the observation deck of their new ship, the Unity. It was a vessel designed by 5 different species working together. Combining the best technology from each culture, they were traveling to the Andromeda Galaxy, where reports suggested that Dominion survivors were trying to rebuild their empire. The Alliance Council had asked Emily and Marcus to make contact with species in that galaxy and help them prepare for the threat. "Are you nervous?" Emily asked, watching the stars stream by as they traveled faster than light. Marcus considered the question. "Not nervous, excited. We bring hope to new worlds." Emily leaned against him, marveling at how natural it felt to be held by someone with 4 arms. "Do you ever regret leaving your homeworld to be with me?" "Emily," Marcus said gently, "you are my home now." Emily felt tears in her eyes. A year ago, she had been a disgraced scientist who everyone thought was crazy for caring about an alien monster. Now she was an admiral in the Galactic Alliance, married to the love of her life, and traveling to distant galaxies to spread the message of unity and hope. "I love you, Marcus," she said. "I love you too, Emily Watson." As their ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, Emily thought about the message they would carry to new worlds. It was simple but powerful. Love has no boundaries, understanding conquers fear, and when different species work together, they can overcome any challenge. She had never been mad to love Marcus. The madness had been in everyone else's failure. To see that love, in all its forms, was the most powerful force in the universe behind them. The Milky Way galaxy continued to grow more peaceful as dozens of species learned to work together. Ahead of them lay new worlds, new species, and new opportunities to prove that unity was stronger than division. Emily Watson and Marcus had started as 2 lonely beings from different worlds. Now they were the ambassadors of hope itself, carrying the message that love truly could conquer all. In the end, they had not just saved the galaxy. They had shown it how to save itself. And it all began with one simple truth. When you look past the surface and see the person underneath, you discover that we are all more alike than different. Love sees no species, no boundaries, no limits. Love simply sees another soul worth saving. The story of Emily and Marcus became legend throughout the galaxy, inspiring countless others to look beyond fear and prejudice to find the common bonds that unite all sentient life. Their love had indeed conquered all.